Hilchos HaMoed, Tav Kuf Mem. Binyan, construction on HaMoed. Afilu kol shu asur, even the smallest amount is prohibited. Vimnat nefrץ gather שדהו מקרהו בהוצא ודפנא, if the fence around your field has been broken down on HaMoed, you can fix it up with palm branches, things like that, so that animals won't get in and destroy your crops. Or tsar btzror, or you can put stones in, ve'nutach bטיט, but you cannot cement the stones into place, or you can't put the plaster over the stones. V'shel חצירו, and if it is the wall around your courtyard, bונהו כדרכו, you can build it the normal way. But אסור לסותרו כדי לחזור לבנותו, you're not allowed to knock it down to build it up. Meaning, if I have to knock down this wall and build it, you have to wait until after Yantiv is over, and then after Yantiv you can do it. V'imhu mesukhan, but if it becomes dangerous on HaMoed, ונוטה ליפול, and it's about to fall down, and their walls were stone, and if a stone falls on people, it's not a good story. Mותר lesotro ולחזור ולבנותו, you're allowed to tear it down and rebuild it. Mותר ליטול גבשושי שבבי, ומותר לעשות מעקה לגג, ומרפסת מעשה הדיוט. I can make a makkah, this is a parapet around my roof and on my porch so that people won't fall down. Masay hadyot, not in a craftsman's way, not in the builder's way, but in a simple way, so that just something temporary that no one will fall. Bahutza ודפנא, again, with using reeds and palm fronds and things like this. Or tzar btzror ואינו בטיט, or I can use stone but not finish it. Before we go on, Tosfos points out that when it says you can build the wall of your courtyard, he says this is the wall between your courtyard and the outside. However, the wall between your courtyard and your neighbor's courtyard, since your neighbor isn't likely to be stealing from you and damaging your property, therefore you have to leave that wall until after HaMoed. You can't fix that wall because it has to be l'tzorech HaMoed. It has to be something you need. The wall between your property and other people's property, that you can be in an area where people will steal the things that are there, and therefore it's prohibited. If you live in a place where people don't steal things that are left in the yard, then it would, the inference of Tosfos would, it would also be prohibited. For instance, when I lived in the Gush, in Elazar and Lon Shvut, children left their bicycles out in front of the houses all the time, in front of the apartment buildings. No one stole them. It wasn't a problem, right? If someone had to have a fence there and it fell down, you wouldn't be able to fix it on HaMoed because nothing is stolen from there. Whereas if you lived in the time of Tosfos in France and Germany, where the non-Jews regularly stole things from Jews, then of course you have to put up your courtyard wall, otherwise things are going to be stolen. But between you and your neighbor, it's not going to be stolen, so you don't have to worry about it. Sedakim shebagag shemaim yordin derech sham. There are cracks in your roof, and through the cracks in your roof, it's dripping water on your svarim. My daughter told me when she was in Midrashah, they had a shir one night a week in Rav Druckman's house, and they entered. It was raining, and they entered the house, and there were pots and pans all over the place, catching water that was dripping in. And some svarim were taken down from the upper bookshelves, and pots were put there to catch the water that was there, so the svarim wouldn't get wet. And they says, "Harav, makara, Rebbe, what happened?" And he said, "Lo samtem lev, you didn't pay attention. Baruch Hashem, you're in Geshem hayom. Thank God, it's raining today." All right. Mutar l'satmo biyad. You can fill up these cracks that are causing leaks into your house with your hand. Obavad shelo yasei masayuman, as long as you don't do it in a professional way. B'mechaltzim, shehu kli ha'umnus. With melchatzim, this is a type of tool that's used for smoothing out the roofing material. We have tools for doing this with tar and pitch, for instance. They actually in the times of the Gemara, had beams, wooden beams, and over that they would put lime and plaster, and that would seal it. So the kli for splitting the lime and plaster, you're not allowed to use, because that's professional, but put some mud in there, it'll hold for HaMoed. After HaMoed, you dig it out and fix it properly. Sir hadelis, ve'amafteach, ve'atzinur, ve'akorei shenishbru. The hinge and the lock on your door, your front door, and the pipe and the beams that hold up your roof, shenishbru, afir lumi erev yantiv, they broke, even if it was erev yantiv, they broke. Obviously, if it's a week before yantiv, then no dice. Yachol letaknam b'chol hamoed, you can fix them in chol hamoed. Lo shna hen, shel eitz, or shel barzel, it doesn't matter whether they're wood, or they're stone, or iron, I don't care. Bilvad shelo yikaven melachta b'moed, as long as you don't intend to do your work in chol hamoed. As I said, if it happens a week before chol hamoed, you have to fix it before yantiv, right? If it happens erev yantif, you may not have time to either fix it yourself, as people would have done in those days, or to bring someone in to fix it now, right? But because this is a necessary thing, you need a door, right? But if it's a door inside your house that goes between your living room and your dining room, l'maisa, you don't actually need that door. You may like it, but it's not a necessity, and therefore such a thing would have to wait for Chol HaMoed. Their houses didn't have the number of doors that we did. It didn't require the number of mezuzahs that we have on our houses. Baruch Hashem, we need more. Mutar livnos arvas susim. You can build an arvas susim. Arvas susim in modern Hebrew is a barn. That's not what it means here. Perush avos shiyochlu behem. That means the trough from which they eat, right? Masei hadyot. I can use it. I can make it in a way that everyone can do. I can't use, I can't make nice grooves and a perfect thing that will dovetails to put it together so it will last for 100 years. I got to do the simplest thing that I can do, but I have to be able to feed my animals. Velivno salkatan, or itztaba l'tzorech hamoed, to build a small bench or a small platform. If I need it for yantiv, you can do it. Kasav rif, yeshim farmi itztaba binyan osim avanim. Some people say the itztaba is something that's built out of stones, or mitit, or from plaster. Velo nihira, and this does not appear correct. Tizay hu binyan gomer. This is actual construction. It's some type of bench that we would use. It seems from the Gemara to me that it's more like a stage, but what I think he means is like a temporary structure, meaning not, the Rif is describing a permanent stage. He's talking about a temporary stage we put up for to do some, to auction off Ata Haresa and Simchas Torah. Neser shemechabrim lo reglaim v'ken arvas susim deshare lav binyan gomerhu. The beam that we are allowed to attach to legs to make a stool, I guess, or to make the trough for feeding our animals in, right? It's not real construction. It's only I'm allowed to return it, the feeding trough of my animals, to its place. I'm not allowed to, do a major production here. He writes it, he doesn't distinguish. It appears that he's even allowing something that would be a type of permanent, well-built structure for these certain things that are absolute necessities now. By the way, if the majority opinion does not follow the Rosh, meaning if I can do something that will work until Yantiv is over, and then fix it properly, I have to do that. I can't, play around. I can put up a quick, if I have to fence people out of my yard, otherwise things could be told. I can put up a quick, one of these quickie fences, chain link fences, no problem. It can be up, I can have it up in an hour. And then I have to take it down after, Yantiv is over, dig proper fence posts, holes, and set them in concrete and so on. That's a real work that I do later. Tanur sheroi lihisyavesh be'inyan sheroi lafos bo b'moed. An oven that is fit to dry out, so it can be used to bake in on yantif. It's mutar laso, so it's mutar to make it. Their stoves and ovens and so on were made out of clay. And because the kiln was not large enough to put these things in, they were fired the first time. Well, the first time they were fired was how they were, made into proper pottery and not clay that would dissolve again. But it has to reach a certain level of dryness before you try to fire in it the first time. So if I have enough time to make my stove or my oven, right, and it will dry enough that I can light the fire in it and use it on yantif, then I can do it. Because this is l'tzorech HaMoed, I'm going to use it for cooking, obviously, and cooking is something I'm allowed to do on yantif, on HaMoed, all the more so. You're allowed to do it on yantif, all the more so on HaMoed. Ve'im lav, and if not, asur lasosa. I'm not allowed to make it, right? If I can't use it on Chol HaMoed or on yantif, can't do it on Chol HaMoed. Hasui kavar, if it was already made, mutar lasos lo bais moshav, I can make a stand for it. Lamido alav, to put it there, meaning if I don't have a appropriate stand, the heat of the oven can crack things underneath it and make it fall over and either not necessarily break, but spill things they're cooking on it or in it and cause a problem. Grain lasts much longer when it's not made into flour. We have various techniques to make flour last longer today. I don't know exactly how all they work, but there are things that we do to make flour last longer, but still it doesn't last nearly as long as the grain will by itself. So everyone used to buy grain and grind their own flour. So I can put the place where I put the millstones to grind my flour on, I'll have to place them, and I can clean out the millstones when they become smooth. The millstones are made out of a stone that has a texture to it, so it can grind things. If it's perfectly smooth, it won't grind things. But the holes in it will fill up over time, and you use a brass brush to clean it out with. Now, you're allowed to do that on when they are chalakim bios, or when they're too smooth on Chol HaMoed, so they don't properly crush my grain. I'm allowed to clean it out so I can use that. Bein im hi chadasha or yeshena, it doesn't matter whether it's new or old. L'taken amasamayim shetochnim al yada v'litul tzirperneha chamor. I can fix the water channel that has begun to fall in, right? Mm-hmm. And so I can trim the donkey's feet. Hamegalgel harechaim. I can fix the turning part of the millstones. Aval asir l'takein hanekev be'emtza ha'evan hamisgalgel. But there was a hole through the middle of the upper millstone that I would run a piece of wood through to be able to move it around the lower millstone to grind the grain. To do that, I'm not allowed to do shu maseuman, because this is only something that can be done by a craftsman. It has to be perfectly round, it has to be exactly in the middle, otherwise it does not work. And this is not something that everyone knows how to do, only craftsmen know how to do it. And because in general, maseuman is prohibited, such a thing is prohibited, it has to be, you need a millstone, you have to arrange for the uman to do it before yantif begins. These other things are normal maintenance level things that are done, and therefore one can do them on Chol HaMoed if I need it for Chol HaMoed or yantif. Everyone should have a wonderful day. And next time we get into trapping fish or catching fish, we might say in more colloquial English.